All right, we are here for Class 7A, the final class we will be covering here on the ASN Rankings show this week. Um, really excited. A lot of fantastic teams and a lot of fantastic football being played in Class 7A. First, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Arkansas Sports Network on YouTube, hit the notification bell, like the video if you're enjoying the series, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X. We are going to be covering all kinds of high school football content and the Razorbacks. You won't want to miss it. So let's go ahead and just get to it here and get right to the rankings. Number one, Conway. They've been impressive every step of the way so far. Um, they've had no bumps in the road. Wins over teams like Marion and Little Rock Southwest and Bentonville. Um, that Conway under Buck James has taken a nice step forward in year two under Coach James, and Grayson Wilson, of course, is he's the guy that the defense is going to key in. But Trey Harris has been fantastic at running back, and they have a lot of fantastic players. J.P. Saxon on the defensive side of the ball is a fantastic player as well. They've got all the keys necessary to be in the state title game at the end of the season, hence why they are our number one team. Number two, Bryant. They played a tough. They played some tough competition too. They played Parkview and got a victory and a really impressive showing. Um, but they are still ranked number two because Conway has been our number one since the beginning of the season and has remained undefeated and has shown no reason why they should be ranked number two. Number three, Fayetteville. I believe their only loss was to Texas High from Texas, from Texarkana, excuse me, the Texas side of Texarkana. Um, that's a really impressive Fayetteville team under with Garrett Odom and Coach Casey Dick. Jason Delamar is a fantastic receiver, um, and they defending state champions lost their first game in I think 16 games or something like that. Um, when they lost to Texas High by a point. They still looked really good. Losing to Texas High doesn't really indicate a whole lot for the state of Arkansas, but it does. They do have a loss on their record. That's why they are at number three in such a tight Class 7A. Number four, Pulaski Academy. Brandon Cobb looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the state. Puts up fantastic numbers every week. They beat the brakes off of North Little Rock last week in their first Class 7A conference game as a program. Um, have wins over a couple out-of-state teams like West Monroe and Madison Ridgeland Academy, and they have a win over Robinson as well. So they've started their season 4-0. Little Rock Christian beat Cabot in their first uh, 7A game last week as a member of Class 7A and the 7A Central. Um, a lot of these rankings proving what we all thought the case would be at the beginning of the season. By the way, Cabot's a really good football team, but they play in the 7A Central. That's why it's so difficult for them to make it into the top 10 because, maybe if they were playing in the West, it would be a different story. Now, the West has come out, and we'll get to that, and has shown that they have some talented teams, but um, the Central is just so competitive, and they're very top heavy as well. So tough tough for Cabot to break in. They ended up losing to Little Rock Christian last week. And so Little Rock Christian is in our top five. Um, I just want to. I also want to correct myself. This is not a top 10. It's a top eight technically, because there's only 16 teams in Class 7A. So just wanted to clarify that. I think I said top 10 a couple of times, so I just want to correct myself on that. It's the top eight. Um, so we'll move on to number six here. Springdale, they're undefeated, beat Rogers Heritage last week. 4-0 kind of speaks for itself. They look like the second best team in the 7A West right now. Usually that's Bentonville or maybe even Bentonville West, but um, Springdale undefeated, looking pretty good right now, and they have it rolling in Northwest Arkansas. Number seven, Rogers. Coach Chad Harbison has that offense rolling year in, year out. Um, they have wins over Sheridan. And they've looked just as impressive as ever on offense. And it's difficult to shut out a Kevin Kelly offense for as long as they did. I believe they shut them out for the entire first half. So really impressive by their defense as well. Um, they look like a pretty solid team in the 7A West. Number 8, Bentonville. Coach Jody Grant. In my opinion, he's going to have them at or near the top by the end of the season. That's just it's been a tough non-conference schedule for them. Bentonville always seems to rally towards the end of the season and look better than they did at the beginning. But for now, based on what we've seen, they are ranked number 8. I think that their record will definitely improve, and they'll look pretty good in that 7A West conference, and they'll build some momentum and maybe do really well in the playoffs. But for now, they are ranked just inside our top 8 rankings. All right, let's go ahead and get into our game picks here. We'll start off with a barn burner. Fayetteville and Rogers. This one's probably going to have a lot of points. Both offenses are sharp. Uh, Garrett Odom is fantastic. I believe the quarterback at Rogers is Jeff Reagan. Um, both of those quarterbacks are fantastic. Um, but I'm going to pick Fayetteville to get the victory in this one in a game that I think there's going to be a lot of points. Coach Harbison and Coach Dick, both fantastic offensive coaches, both fantastic head coaches overall. But I think that Fayetteville gets the victory in a close game here. Springdale versus West. Springdale has been on a roll. They're at 4-0. West has struggled to start the season. They're at 0-4. Um, I think this game is going to be really close. I do think that West has a chance to get the upset here. I think it's going to be a close game down the stretch, but I think that Springdale will pull out the victory. Bryant and Little Rock Christian. This game is at Little Rock Christian, which is definitely going to help the Warriors, but I think that Bryant wins and they pull away and win by a couple scores in the fourth quarter. Bentonville versus Fort Smith Northside. Bentonville struggling to start the season 1-3. Northside is 1-3. Uh, one of these teams is going to want to walk away with their second win. I think it's going to be Bentonville. Um, like I said, I think they tend to rally and play better down the stretch. I think that Bentonville gets the win this week. Cabot versus Southwest. Versus Little Rock Southwest. Cabot tends to play, tends to play really well in the games they need to play well in. Um, I think Cabot gets the victory in this one in dominant fashion. It's been a struggle for Coach Lewis and the Griffins, but I think that he'll get that program on track by the end of his tenure there. North Little Rock and Conway, another tough game for North Little Rock. They've had a lot of them to start the season. Um, Coach Reed had a lot of guys transfer out of that program in the offseason, which didn't help. I think Conway wins big in this game, and they move to 5-0. Rogers Heritage versus Harbor. Neither team has a win. I think Harbor gets the victory in this game with their home field advantage and their pretty explosive offense. Last game we'll talk about for Class 7A. This was a short one. There's not a whole lot of teams to talk about like there is in 4A, 5A, 2A, 3A. Only 16, similar to Class 6A. Central, Little Rock Central versus Pulaski Academy. The game is at Pulaski Academy, which will definitely help. I think the Bruins win big in this game, and they continue their undefeated season. Well, that's going to do it for Class 7A. Just that one, just about 10 minutes long, maybe a little bit shorter than that. Really exciting few football games in this one. I think that Rogers and Fayetteville, maybe Bentonville Northside, those are the two games that people are going to be really watching and looking at for playoff seeding. Otherwise, some of these games were pretty easy to pick. Um, It's going to be a fun year in Class 7A. You know, a couple of new teams in Little Rock Christian and Pulaski Academy. Both have been doing fairly well in Class 7A. Um, and it's going to be gonna be really fun to watch some of the rivalry games later in the year. Bryant versus Conway, Pulaski Academy versus Little Rock Christian, and so on and so forth. Bentonville versus Bentonville West is one that's turning into a little bit of a heated rivalry. It's going to be exciting to watch how these teams finish down the stretch. Um, but for now, don't forget, subscribe to us right here on YouTube. Follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and X. And until next time, I'm Carson Ward, signing off.